Hey there. So I wanted to share this story about the importance, well, not really importance, but the feeling of being acknowledged for what you're doing and the importance of sharing your story at the same time. So a couple weeks ago, a PR firm had reached out to me. I got a text message and there was a link, and the follow-up communication back and forth was creating an opportunity to work with them. They had seen some of the content that I've shared on my social media platforms and felt that I would be a good fit to work with them. And the process involves meeting with the various individuals that are affiliated with the organization to see if you are a good fit in terms of the outlets that they want to reach out to and position you with. Sometimes I'm a bit of a skeptic about these things, and that was the first thought when I saw the initial text. I thought, this isn't real, this is some form of spam. And being the the journalist and the kind of person that I am, I started to do an investigation and found out they're a legit organization. And from that, the next phase was scheduling a time to meet with them and get a sense of who you are and then potentially what kind of approach you would take. The overall approach with this organization is that you would write a piece that would then be pitched to a mix of media outlets that they have pre-identified that have expressed interest in your story, your platform, or what you're sharing. And should it be picked up and published in a particular media outlet, then that is when you would turn around and then pay this organization for the work that has been done. So with my 25 plus years in the field of advertising, marketing, and PR, I understand the process, and I know the value that comes with third-party validation or external validation for who you are and what you do. So there was something affirming about being chosen, and I've talked about this before, something affirming about an organization seeing what you're doing and acknowledging it, and at the same time saying that there's value in them wanting to work with you. We all want that in some way. I know when I had another conversation again with them today, this is like the closer conversation where I know that after they have expressed what their intentions are and their approach and the opportunities that they see, then next comes the sell in terms of this is what the cost is going to be. And there's no way that I could afford, their cost, at this time. I'm not gonna lie, it was affirming again to have this conversation, because many times you are in a space where you're wondering, is there any value in what I'm saying or doing? Especially when you feel like it seems like nobody is seeing or hearing what I'm sharing or doing. And at the same time, one of the things that also comes from this is the value that comes from this type of acknowledgement and recognition. I think my takeaway from this overall process is that it's so important for us to continue to show up for ourselves and to continue to share parts of our story that we're comfortable with sharing, to continue to seek out the communities and the resources and the connections that we need as we're going through the various seasons of our life. And it's beautiful when someone acknowledges what you're doing and someone says, "Hey, that's a great job," or "I see you, I hear you." Because the reality of life is that we all need that validation. There's value in that. Whether we get it from someone else, or even if we have to be the one that's reminding ourselves of that value to keep showing up. And I think that was, not I think, I feel that was the takeaway from today's conversation. Because the truth is that all of us are really dealing with so many different challenging situations. And sometimes it's hard to keep showing up for ourselves. And at the same time, sometimes as we're going through whatever we're dealing with, there's always that opportunity where we might sit back and say, what is the point of all of this? And beyond that, when we're thinking about the work that we're doing, the amount of effort that we're putting into something, and nobody seems to be walking past to say, "Hey, great job," to acknowledge our presence, to acknowledge our work, to acknowledge our worth, it can be really hard. Sometimes it can make you feel like, hey, I want to give up. I don't see the value in doing this anymore. But don't quit and don't stop. I know for me, I was thinking, or just in general, when I decided to start showing up in social media in a different way, in a more oral way, because a lot of the content I was sharing were these super long captions and photos and videos. Some of them my original photography, and then some of them stock footage, but the content, the writing was always mine. And there's a point where I had to realize that a lot of the things I'm saying and sharing are things that I need to hear, things that I've needed to hear. And once I allowed that to be my core focus and motivation, it's always made it easier to show up here in this space. And in some way, that was the validation for me that I needed. I just needed this space to be able to show up on any given day and time and share what I was thinking from the heart. And I've had some really great conversations with individuals. There are some individuals that I've met virtually in this space that I would consider friends. There are some individuals that have reached out and shared, hey, your story made a difference. Your story has allowed me to see myself in a way that I never thought. Your story reminded me that there's value in my experience and me sharing my story. Your story allows me to feel seen. The truth of the matter is that no matter what, we all want to feel seen and we all want to feel heard. We all want to believe that there's value in what we're doing and what we're sharing. And sometimes that may come from someone else. And sometimes it might be something that we have to remind ourselves. But whatever the case, I just hope you continue to remember to show up, even on the days that are hard. You continue to believe that what you're doing is going to make a difference, not only in your life, but in the life of others. You continue to see the value in sharing your story. The hard parts, the messy parts, the sad parts, the beautiful parts, the happy parts, whatever you're comfortable with sharing. And most important, you continue to see the value in acknowledging where you are. So yeah, so the story continues.